Welcome to Convicted Hearts. I'm Jen Magana with Convicted Hearts, and you guys are in the right place. Today I'm here with a very special guest I would like to introduce to you guys. So go ahead and let us know what you go by.
I go by Big Tiny. I'm a international tattoo artist, tattoo shop owner, ex-felon. Own a company called Instant Spreads.
Right.
And I'm an art director for the Cycle Realm. And I'm an all-around artist.
You know, ex-felon, so you did some time in California?
Yeah, I did some time. As soon as I turned 18, I caught a case. Ended up doing a total of 7 years throughout my prison career.
Mm-hmm.
And had to do 4 years of parole. And had to get through that. And, you know, I look at it as a blessing because if I didn't go to prison, I wouldn't have found my niche.
Right.
And I was always artistic. And when I got to prison, that's where I picked up the tattoo gun. And, you know, and I always, my parents are from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So hard work and hustling was in the blood.
Right.
So before I went to prison, I always did art. And my parents are like, they've been in the printing industry for over 30 years. So when the computer came out,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, you need to learn this shit because this is the future. My dad especially, and he got a loan on the house, and he bought an Apple computer, the first Apple computer, and he made me do the art, the computer stuff. He's like, this is the future. And once I seen what kind of money it did, because he started off me doing clip art for Long's Drugs. It was a account we had with the company they were working with. And I just clipped art. And when he paid me, I was like, shit, you know, this is easy money.
Yeah.
So when I went to prison, I came out, I brought my drawings and I said, let me see if I could convert my hand art to digital art. And then just from that, it just took off.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it really, when I went to prison, I met a dude named LUCKYLUCIANO. He was one of the main sales rep for Joker Clothing. At the time, I didn't know who he was. We just, you know, did our thing in the joint, talk stories, but we didn't really talk about girls and gangs. It was mostly about art and music and stuff that I was into, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we clicked real good. And then when he got out, he's like, get a hold of me. Let alone a few months before that, we're slamming dope, you know?
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's like, he was on a drug charge. We're just slamming dope. He'll be back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So he left me a note, and then he goes, don't open this till I leave. So when he left, I opened the envelope he got, and he was in an ad with the Cycle Realm, Cypress Hill, and he had letters from Everlast, from House of Pain, Esteban Oreo, Cartoon, and I was listening to Soul Assassin Radio when we were busted with this guy, so he didn't really tell us anything. So when I got out, I got out and I met up with him, and he's all, you ready to work? He goes, what's your plan? And I go, I got to go to college. I got to get this degree. You know, my parents, education was it was enforced in my house. You know, we had to have straight A's because, you know, we had my grandparents' minds, you know what I mean? My grandparents were sharp mathematicians, musicians. So there's no excuse for us to be lazy and uneducated. So I got out and enrolled in college. I went to Brooks College, an art college, got my degree there with visual communications, gave them their dream. And then with Lucky, he opened doors for me. My first job was, he had a brand called Not Guilty. It was supposed to be Joker, but some legal stuff happened and they came back to it and started doing it again. And then my big job, he goes, hey, you still paint? Because he knew I did some graffiti. And I go, yeah, I could paint. It's been years since I painted, right? So
oh, wow.
there was this wall on Melrose at the store called Wasted Youth. And when I finished the painting, it was a big American flag. It was probably about 18 feet by 20 feet. It was for Travis Barker. He was the owner of that store. So he started plugging me in with all these work and celebrities. And I started doing stuff for the Famous Stars and Straps. And I started doing stuff for... I started working with DJ Muggs at Cypress Hill. I was an art director at Angelus Records. And then it just steamballed. And then I linked up with the Cycle Realm. Matter of fact, we have our first show tomorrow that we're throwing as my company.
Yes.
So my partner, he opened up his new business and he became the promoter. And this is a dream of ours, and it's all happening. So
I love
started working
that.
with them, and then as soon as I got off parole, my partner Lucky is like, "Yo, you want to go to Japan?" I'm like, "Yeah," because cartoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's all good. Yeah.
So these people from Japan used to take cartoon out there.
Mhm.
So they asked Lucky, "Hey, what's up with cartoon?" And at that time, cartoon was doing the T-Mobile, the Sidekick.
Yeah.
And Lucky goes, "If you want someone that's that learned at the joint, this is the dude right here." So I met these dudes from Japan. They came over. They ordered some designs for the company. I did some logos for them. They bought all of them. They're like, "You want to go to Japan?" And I'm like, not used to people coming through. You know what I mean? Because the lifestyle I was living, a lot of people were full of shit.
Right.
So I was like, "Yeah, whatever. Listen, I'm down." And then next thing you know, I got a plane ticket and I got my cherry popped and traveling the world because of tattooing, something that I picked up in prison. So it was a blessing. I always say going to prison for me was a blessing because the people in there saw that I had talent.
Mhm.
They seen I had a date, and they you know what I mean? There was a time where, I could have been doing something and some person's like, "Nah, he's going home," and they gave me that chance and I made it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you obviously come from a family of hustlers. Like you have the mind of someone that's going to make something of your life. So you naturally were talented. You had people that believed in you, and fortunately you ran into people that kept their word too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was Japan like? I'm so curious.
That was my homeboy he's doing 80 years right now. He's half Japanese, and since I was young, I started eating sushi probably like when I was like 10 years old.
Really?
Learned how to use chopsticks.
Uh-huh.
And then one of my favorite subjects in grade school was history.
Okay.
I was like, man, I was so just like history alone, like World Wars, Russia, Germany, all the stuff that was happening that we read. I was like, man, I was infatuated by it.
Right.
And when I got the call to go to Japan, and the day when I was leaving to Japan, I was in the shower. I was crying. I broke down, and my kid's mom's like, "What's wrong?" I go, "I'm fucking going to Japan. I'm an ex-con that, by statistics, we go in that revolving door."
Yeah.
And it was a dream of mine. So when I went to Japan, it was a different world. I mean, Japanese writing all over the place, Japanese food, the culture, the respect. It's a different planet. I fell in love with the country, and the people that took me out there, they really took care of me. They really helped support my family, and I'm gracious for that. In Japan, it's a big part of me. I had my own tattoo studio out there for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Had my own studio. So yeah, and I took my kids there. My daughter, when she started listening to Gwen Stefani and Harajuku Girls, she goes, "I want to go to Harajuku." And I took my daughter when she was 16, and we're eating gyoza on Harajuku. I go, what a fucking trip, right?
Right on. Yeah, what a trip. Maybe you can tell me if this is really true or not. I've heard that in Japan, they really do love like Chicano culture. They really are fond of it.
It's big out there. So when I got there, it was still hot, the lowriders, and it was a trip because when I got there, I went to a club and everybody was choloed out. And I smoked some weed when I got there, and everybody's in bumblebees and cascades and hairnets, and they're coming up to me, "Orale, homie," and just real. It was fashion, you know what I mean? And I was asking questions. I'm like, do they know what the lifestyles, the culture is beautiful, but behind it, it's fucking dog eat dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a real cutthroat lifestyle. You know what I mean? But they were more in love with the look, the chicanísimo, the family. You know what I mean? All the positive stuff out of it. But and when I was giving them education about like prison life and street life and codes, and I'm like, don't bring that over here because it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Did I cuss on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was something we spoke about on a panel I was on recently. Some people had some pretty strong feelings about Japanese people using using the culture and
Yeah.
felt it was disrespectful and they didn't appreciate it. And other people, were more like, they aren't disrespecting it. They think it's fashion, so they
Yeah.
didn't have a problem.
Yeah. Well, I went there. It was just, there's a couple times where I've seen some of the homies have certain symbols that shouldn't be monopolized. You know what I mean? I'm like, and I educated them on that.
Okay.
They don't know. They're a culture where when Levi's were brought to them, they went crazy because they were like tradition, which is still tradition today. And tattoos are still not accepted over there,
Oh, wow.
But they just fell in love with the culture. They weren't trying to. There was no type of disrespect because I've seen that. I've heard that from some people, like, why they this, that. I go, bro, I've been there, I've seen it, and it's just love for our style, you know what I mean? Because the samurai is the same as an Aztec warrior, same morals, everything.
Okay.
So I could relate to them spiritually.
Yes, on a different level. Yeah.
On a different level. So once I felt that, know that these people were there more for me than some of my people. These people were like, everything was for my family, It was all like, we got like, there was a time where they go, hey, Tiny, you need to get dressed up. We're having a meeting. And I said, okay, cool. So I get down there and there were like traditional kimonos. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I going to get my finger chopped off or what's going on? But they started talking Japanese and they're like, you know what? They started translate that. We believe you have samurai spirit, whatever you need in life. We have you for whatever, I just need to call them upon anything, anything with the family. And, they were just putting they were just letting me know that they were there for me because of the respect and just the way their culture is a different culture. You have to be there to see it.
An experience, it sounds like. Yeah.
Experience stuff like that. Yeah.
About your company, like, how did you come up with this idea of your instant spreads?
So instant spreads was an idea. I came up with the idea in 2017. 2017 is like, I don't want to say the end, but that's when magazines were, YouTube was killing MTV and the videos and everything was just going straight digital. So I was like, I want to do because when they did magazine spreads on me, it was like a 6-page spread. And so I was like, I want to do a podcast where I asked somebody, hey, have you ever ate a spread? And they said, yeah, well, give me your menu. We'll make a spread. And while we're breaking it down and making it, I was going to interview you and just build a catalog of that. And at the end of the year, come out with a cookbook and release it, even if they didn't have a spread, just to introduce them to that, because the spread created community.
Yeah.
And when you ate a spread, you ate it with people. So that was a concept of it. And then I linked up with my partner, Chile from Trap Treats. He has this marijuana candy, and now he's just doing regular candy. We sat down, we talked about it, and he says, let's put it in a bag. So I said, yeah, let's try it. So we made one. It was going to be weed infused. So we did a little video and people were tripping out. Like, they're like, hey, that's where the fuck can we get that?
Yeah.
And it's coming out. So I had so much going on at that time. I kind of put it on the back burner. And then what he did, he's good friends with Snoop Dogg. So he took Snoop some candy that has some weed and infused in it. And then Snoop saw, I don't eat weed. He just lost a customer. So when I brought it back to the drawing table, like, I'm ready for this. He was like, we're going to do with no weed. We're going to push it. So we went ahead and bought a few thousand bags. I designed the cover and everything. And we're like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I made a video. Me and my homeboy came over. He's like, what the fuck? Spreads in the back. Let's eat one. So we made one and I took the video. I put it on TikTok because I heard about TikTok when I was in China. They're TikTok. And then it came here a couple years later, TikTok's everything. So, and all these young kids are on this TikTok shit. So I said, I'm going to post it on TikTok. Next thing you know, my phone's blowing up. Like, yo, is this you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because my logo was shown on the bag in the video. And a lot of people know I was talking about the spreads.
Right.
Next thing you know, I got 160,000 views in one night. Next night, it's at 200 something. And within the first week, I was at 500,000 something views, and that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So a lot of people started seeing it, and everything just started lining up. You know, I'm getting calls from manufacturers and producers, like they seen my stuff, they want to work with us. Mm-hmm. It's going to be on TV, on VH1. I had a call from VH1. They wanted to put on one of their shows, and it just went crazy. And the main thing behind the spreads is it's about creating community. You know what I mean? And the spreads was a meal that we ate in prison, and a lot of people stereotype it as a prison food, but spreads was happening back in Mississippi when Miss Smith was having all her friends over and bringing a bunch of food. For us as convicts, we threw it in soups. Mm-hmm. So when the internet came out, spreads, everyone's seeing the spreads and thinking, I get so many comments like, your mindset's fucked up, go back to jail, why you want to eat that shit? That shit's bomb, you know what I mean? Yeah. My grandkids eat that shit, you know, when grandma's not cooking, they know what's happening. They get the soups and start slamming it, you know? So we got a lot of hype from it. And the main thing behind it, what I want to do is I want to utilize it because I'm going to be 46 years old. And what saved my life was my creativity, was my art, was my passion. And I have access to all these tools now, from the music studio to the video camera, to the computer, to airbrush, whatever art tool I have access to right now, it's like there. I own a tattoo shop in Anaheim called Level 4 Tattoo. And it's right there in my neighborhood. And there's a junior high school that crosses our door every day. And I'm out there interacting with kids because the way I look at it, these kids could be my future clients.
Right.
And I started talking to these kids and I start telling them my story. I go, man, I grew up right here too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But this is what I did. Mm-hmm. You know, I had to go to prison, but I wish I had someone like me talking to me when I was, you know,
right.
Like, you guys need to soak it up, because once you get in the real world, it's not all fun and games, you know? Mm-hmm. So I try to educate kids and show them, you know, I did this with my art. I traveled the world because of my art. And I tattooed these guys and they're like, yeah, right. And I show them it and they're like, oh shit, yeah. You know? So my goal with this bag is a portion of every purchase is going to go to nonprofit organizations that we're teamed up with. And I'm creating my own nonprofit. So when I hit, everyone says you're going to be rich. And I was like, man, if it was about the money, I'd be tattooing 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, if it was really about the money. But this is not about the money. This is about giving these kids access to these tools. So my first payout is I want to build the best art programs in the schools that I went to right there, donated by us. Because, you know, my neighborhood's still getting plaqued up right there. And a lot of people say, oh, that's the hub. You know what? You guys moved into this neighborhood. This is part of it. Right. You know, it's the culture. You know, if you don't want to fucking have gangs around your house, you should have worked harder and go move down the street where they don't have them. But this is the area. They're not going nowhere. I don't condone to it, but that's what it is. So that's why I opened the tattoo shop right there in the neighborhood, so we can influence these kids not to go that route. You know what I mean? And if they do go that route, at least they have some kind of education about being disciplined and respect, and make sure they don't get caught up. You know? Yeah. So. No, we're educating now, and we're inspiring. That's the main thing we want to do. We inspire, because if people know what I do for a living, I do whatever the fuck I want, when I want. Like if I want to go to Amsterdam tomorrow, it's that easy, you know? Amazing. But it took a lot of hard work, and it took a lot of sacrifice. But you could do, I want to tell these kids, you could do whatever you want, you could do it. Because I talk to these kids, I'm like, you know, and I tell them, you know, and the lady next door got mad at me. I was telling her, you know what? Fuck school. School's a waste of time. Mm-hmm. And the lady said, why are you telling that? I go, for one, they don't teach us how to do taxes. They don't teach us how to build credit. They don't teach us nothing. And by the time we graduate, 85% of the kids don't know what they're going to do. And they only have 4 choices. One choice is to get in debt, $200,000 to go to college. Mm-hmm. Your second choice is to go to the military. Your third choice is to go work in corporate America for Walmart, McDonald's, or whatever. And your fourth choice is prison. They don't give us a choice that we can be entrepreneurs, that we could create our own job. And they don't give us the education where we could build credit and then go to these banks, and instead of getting a $200,000 loan for school, which most of them don't finish and owe for many, many years, educate them to get a $25,000 loan to start their business. But America's not set up like that. They set us up for failure and to fall into their trap. Fuck that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I can see you're passionate about it. And the fact that you're pouring back into your community and into the young people is very inspiring. That is absolutely the message I feel like we need to put out there. And it's not said and done enough. And you're displaying it through how you live and how you present yourself. So
yeah, and I believe amazing. The spreads is the man. You ate a spread before, right?
Yeah, I have a video. I made one. That's why when I saw I was like, what? I got
that first bite, right?
Yes.
That first bite, it's like a bite of heaven. No matter where you're at. I mean, we were busted, and when it was Christmas time or someone's birthday, everybody brought food to the table, and even the people that didn't bring food to the table, and if they were respected, they ate. You know what I mean? So everybody eats. And that's the message behind this bag that we want to do, because we want to create community. And the people like this ranges from Blacks to Asians to Mexicans. Everybody eats this shit nationwide. Everybody, I don't care what how would I say, money bracket you're in.
Right.
Martha Stewart went to prison. I know she fucked with a spread. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard she got in trouble for making a spread once. She got hold of some sugar and yeah.
So we're gonna be on Martha Stewart one day, you know, with this bag. So it's absolutely. Like our range is wide, you know. And there's a convict in every family, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be convicts, because I have some friends that were like, when they seen it, they go, I didn't know it was called a spread, because I had cases of soups and chips in the corner of my dorm room. That's how I lived. And once in a while, I put some chicken in it and do this and that. So once they hear the concept, what we want to do it, everyone's like willing to help and really to push forward with it, you know. And the support that we have is amazing. Like I'm talking like people with big companies, well-known, bona fide companies. They're like behind this and really supporting it and all that.
Right. Yeah, that is amazing. And what you said is so true. Like when I made the spread that I did once, it's, you know, one of my homeboys told me what he used, and I thought, let me try this. And when I ate it and I shared it with my daughter, right, she was like, I'm not going to eat that. But when she tasted it, she loved it. Right. And I was like, you know, in some way it made me feel closer to him and to my brother. I'm thinking, this is something they make, you know, like, and it is a connection. And I can imagine it really is, you know, when you're locked up with someone and you're sitting down and chopping it up. So, I mean, job well done. I am so happy that I met you and to hear your story. You're absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to share all of your information in my description of the video. So I'll get with you after this and plug all that. And I just thank you again for spending your time with us at Convicted Hearts.
Yeah, send me your info so we can lace you up with some threads.
Absolutely. I'm going to crush the people in the competition I do the next one. Okay, stand by for just a minute. If you guys have a convicted heart, you're in the right place. Always remember to keep your heart convicted.
I'm a OG boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. OG boy.
Day we hustle, but the night we
OG boy. Know that they ride or die. I'm a OG boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side.
Day we hustle, but the night we
boys by my side. Know that they ride or die. My name came up a lot, it sounds more when I was not around. Certain people that I know, they ain't no longer about. My name came up a lot, it sounds more when I was not around. Certain people that I know, they ain't no longer about. My name came up a lot, it sounds more when I was not around. Certain people that I know, they ain't no longer about. My name came up a lot, it sounds more when I was not around. Certain people that I know, they ain't no longer about. I'm a OG boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. OG boy.
Day we hustle, but the night we
OG boy. Know that they ride or die.